Jesus. Mm, 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 mm. Is it loud? Okay, we good. JT, I'm ready. Good evening, Huddle. Happy Monday, y'all. Okay, so first I would like to say happy Pride Month for all of our LGBTQIA plus family. And I will also like to recognize that it is Gun Violence Awareness Month. So prayers to all of the families who's lost someone to gun violence. I would also like to remind everybody that on Friday, we have a New York City Council debate, city debate. It will be at the House of Justice, which is here, 106 West 148th Street, New York, New York. 45th Street, sorry. So with that being said, I would like to call up our co-liaison, Katrina Jefferson, for our opening prayer and scripture.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight's scripture is coming from Ecclesiastes 11, chapter 11, verses 1 through 6, and this is the NIV version. Ship your grain across the sea. After many days, you may receive a return. Invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. If clouds are full of water, they pour rain on the earth. Whether a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where it falls, there it will lie. Whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap. As you do not know the path of the wind or how the body is formed in a mother's womb, so you cannot understand the work of God, the maker of all things. Sow your seed in the morning, and at evening let your hands not be idle. For you do not know which will succeed, whether this or that, or whether both will do equally well. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly and most gracious Father, God, first of all, we thank you for being God in all of our lives. We thank you for waking us up this morning and giving us another chance to be in the action, God, whether we're young or whether we're seasoned. God, we ask that you touch every person that is here tonight. God, touch those that will plug in through live streaming. God, touch those who are in transit and keep them all safe from all harm. God, we say a special prayer for Emery Gardner. In the season, God, that you would touch him from the crown of his head to the sole of his feet, God. And whatever there is disease in the body, God, we ask that you bring it into right divine balance. God, we've seen you move before, and we ask right now that you would do it again. God, touch every young person that is here tonight, God. Keep their minds protected and safe from anything that might be coming against them to attempt an attack. God, we ask that as they go through the summer months, God, that their minds would be focused, that their hearts and their spirits would be connected to their right divine purpose that you've instilled into them, God, even as they were formed in their mother's womb. God, touch all of us who are here tonight. And whatever it is that we have in your way that is preventing us from receiving and hearing what it is that you have for us to hear, God, we ask that you would remove it right now. Let our hearts, our minds, our spirits be completely clear so that you can get the glory and you can have your way on tonight. It's in your name we pray. We give you all the praise and the glory. Amen.
Thank you, Katrina. So now I would like to call up our co-founder and national director, Ms. Dominique Sharpton, for our announcements and action alerts.
Good evening, everyone. Certainly good to see you all. Welcome back, Brother Francis. And certainly want to welcome all those who are watching via our live stream and via Facebook. Welcome to NAN's Youth Huddle. As you know, National Action Network releases action alerts every Friday. We do that so that you stay in tuned and involved and in the action of what NAN is doing across the country. This past week, we found out that the debt crisis has been averted. As the threat of default loomed over everything, Reverend Sharpton and NAN spent a significant amount of time advocating for vulnerable communities and for the debt ceiling to also be raised. Through conference calls and Zoom calls, including one with President Biden himself and other civil rights leaders, Reverend Sharpton pushed for the protections to the social safety net and for the continuation of funding for programs to assist low-income Americans. NAN didn't want to see Medicaid nor Social Security chipped away, nor see additional stipulations for assistance. And so while the deal reached isn't perfect, NAN is pleased that veterans and homeless adults will also be shielded from work requirements and that the safety net is still intact, and that if the bill itself doesn't decrease spending. The agreement suspends the debt limit until January 2025 and averts default and will stabilize global markets. And NAN is glad to see that a deal was in fact reached and that vital programs like Medicaid and SNAP and Social Security benefits are still protected. And with that said, we're gearing up to head to Washington, D.C. in preparation for this critical March on Washington happening in August, on August 26th. NAN has been very diligently organizing and meeting with various groups to ensure that the march is inclusive of all voices. NAN has our youth department that started to convene weekly calls, galvanizing and mobilizing young people to attend the march. And so we are definitely all gearing up. We are reaching our constituents and those in our community and those in our family and our friends to get everyone involved, to get them on a bus, get them on a flight or on a train or in a car to head to Washington, D.C. on August 26th. This week alone, NAN dealt with representatives from women's rights organizations and, like I said, as well as student leaders. So we know that people across the country are excited. I've been doing the radio show, Reverend Sharpton's radio show, syndicated radio show, significantly recently. And a lot of people that are calling in from all over the country are coming. They're excited about it, and we want to make sure that, of course, those of us from the Northeast that's coming, you know, we aren't shy in numbers, that we are just as strong as other regions across the country who are coming. We know that 60 years since the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s historic March on Washington and his famous I Have a Dream speech, NAN and the Drum Major Institute that was founded by Martin Luther King III's wife, Andrea Waters King, and himself. And we have continued to call for equality and justice. Like I said, we've already met with various groups, members of the Latino and Asian and LGBTQ and Jewish communities, and other communities all coming as we strategize for the march. When reproductive rights are under attack across the country and young people are facing a slew of challenges, meeting with various organizations and representing women's rights and student groups, we want to make sure that everyone understands that this is an inclusive march. This is a march that will cross all sectors and various entities across the country, and so we want to make sure that everyone feels represented and definitely shows out in large numbers because we are dealing with global and universal issues that affect all of us. Of course, for more information, you can log on to our website to get information on the march and to also register, and that's www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Also this coming week, another historic week as we will be honoring the life and legacy of Medgar Evers. On this coming Friday, Reverend Sharpton will keynote an event in Jackson, Mississippi, young people, honoring the life, legacy, and activism of civil rights leader Medgar Evers. The family asked Reverend Sharpton to address the ceremony, which coincides with the 60th anniversary of Medgar Evers' brutal assassination, and so that the nation never forgets his work and sacrifice. Medgar Evers, young people, was the NAACP's first field secretary in Mississippi, and he was extremely active in the civil rights movement. He was a pivotal voice in the fight to end segregation in educational facilities and other spaces, and he fought against the draconian Jim Crow laws. He launched an investigation into the murder of Emmett Till. Those of you who saw that movie, Till, they talked extensively about Medgar Evers and his involvement, of course, in helping to energize and support Mamie Till, Emmett Till's mother, and making sure that justice, that she was not afraid to seek justice vocally for her son Emmett. He also organized protests and voter registration drives, but he was assassinated on June 12, 1963, by a known white supremacist and segregationist. And Reverend Sharpton will keynote this tribute event on Friday, paying homage to Medgar Evers' impact and reminding the country that the fight for civil rights and equality is far from over. But he will be back, of course, for the Saturday Action Rally. Next week, we will be having a very special Juneteenth, leading up to Juneteenth and Father's Day, but next Saturday we will, of course, be celebrating definitely paying attention and honoring our LGBTQ community as it is Pride Month. So happy Pride Month to everyone who celebrated. NAN definitely stands with Pride. We have our orange t-shirts. If you have those, National Action Network family, make sure y'all rock your NAN Stand with Pride shirts this month, and let's, of course, support our LGBTQ community and all that, of course, we have fought for to progress the rights of all who deserve. So thank you for that. I'll be back later on in the program for our Did You Know segment. Thank you.
Thank you, Dom. So next, I would like to call up our huddler, Francis, for our Black History Fact of the Day. Clap it up for him, y'all.
Good evening, everyone. Norfolk's Black community presents address for equal rights. Less than 2 months after the conclusion of the Civil War, the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln, members of the Colored Monitor Union Club convened a mass meeting to assert full citizenship, advance Black unity, and seek congressional action on voting rights for men. On June 5, 1865, the African American community of Norfolk, Virginia became the first in the country to seek equal rights on a national level, with its equal suffrage address to the people of the United States. The equal suffrage address laid out is appeal in patriotic terms, starting with the second paragraph. We do not come before the people of the United States asking an impossibility. We simply ask that Christian and enlightened people shall at once concede to us the full enjoyment of those privileges of our citizenship, which not only are our undoubted right, but are indispensable to that elevation and prosperity of our people, which must be the desire of every patriot. The statement contended that the guarantee of voting rights for African Americans would be the best assurance of Black liberty and equality. We asked for no expensive aid from military forces stationed throughout the South or overbearing state action, the address said. Give us the suffrage, and you may rely upon us to secure justice for ourselves. The Norfolk Declaration, published later in 1865 as a 30-page pamphlet and distributed across the country, helped build momentum for the 15th Amendment, which was ratified on February 3rd, 1870, and stated that the rights of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. The notion, give us suffrage, would ring throughout the decades as Black citizens sought enforcement of the 15th Amendment, the end of poll taxes, and an expansion of voting rights laws. A similar version of the Give Us the Suffrage remained echoed in Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous Give Us the Ballot speech on May 17, 1957, when he proclaimed, Give us the ballot, and we will no longer have to worry the federal government about our basic rights. Norfolk's eco-suffrage statement of 1865 encompassed many other African American issues and included references to history. It reminded the readers of Black contributions to the national prosperity, as well as the Revolutionary War, War of 1812, and Civil War. That's it. That's all there is.
Thank you, Francis. So we don't have any Huddle report announcements for today, but I just wanted to be clear. I know I said this in the intro, but I wanted to be clear that the New York City Council debate is on Friday, the 9th, if I didn't say that. So on Friday the 9th, this Friday, at 6 p.m. We do have flyers, so if you guys want some to remember, we have those for you. So with that being said, I would like to call up Mr. Arnold Penix for our Artivism segment. Clap it up for Arnold, y'all.
No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! What do we want? Justice! What do we want? Justice! What do we want? When do we want it? 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 Fist bump the person next to you and tell them you love them. And we love National Action Network. And in the lieu of the absence of Daniel, I'm going to let you know that this is called Saturday Morning Rally Highlights. And what we're going to do is Reverend Sharpton paid tribute to a very, very important person on this past rally. And his name is Reverend Herbert Daughtry, okay? And Reverend Herbert Daughtry was known for something, some chants that we need to practice so we can be ready for the March on Washington 60th anniversary. And Reverend Daughtry said something like, forward, ever, backward, never. Now, where are these kids going? Because I need y'all to be a part of this. They going to eat? Come back, come back, come back, come back. Oh, come back, kids, come back. Because you got to learn this. This is a training. This is boot camp. You know, you ain't going to walk out of here. Okay, you're going to eat. Stand up right where you are. Stand up, face the audience. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Get in front of your chair. Stand up. You stand up in front of your chair. Stand up, stand up. Okay, you're going to look at each other. Look at them. Stand, move down a little bit. Any more kids here? Okay, come on over here. So look at each. You pick him, and you look at him. And you say forward. Y'all say forward ever. Say forward ever. But you say backwards never. But you're gonna have to say it with conviction. Okay, you understand? You're gonna shout it at, you're gonna say it with power, okay? So stop moving. Stand up, stand up. And you say to him, forward ever. You say backwards never. Okay, half of the room do it, half of the room do this part, half of the room do that part. Okay, are we ready? 1, 2, 3, first side, say forward ever. Backwards never. Forward ever. Say it to them. Say it to them. Okay, hands down by your side. Stand up. Y'all soldiers now. Come on. All right. 1, 2, and forward ever. Backwards never. Forward ever. Backwards never. Come on, everybody. Forward ever. Backwards never. Forward ever. Backwards never. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. You have one more? No, you ain't finished. Stand up. No. Herbert, he had 2 chants Reverend Sharpton gave at the rally. And the next one was, fired up, can't take it no more. Now, we got to get ready for this march on the 26th now. We got to get ready. Okay, half of the room, so y'all say fired up to help these children. And the other half of the room say, ain't going to take it no more, right? Okay, 1, 2, and fired up. Ain't gonna take it no more. Fired up. Ain't take it no more. Again, fired up. Can't take it no more. Put your hands down by your side, son. No, stand up. Straight up. Put your hands down by your side. Little young man. Hands down by your side. There you go. And we're going to do it. Nobody moving around. Stand up. You got to show them in Washington, D.C. Don't put your hands in your pocket. Put your hands down. Okay, again, everybody, help these children out. One, let's go, and fire it up. Can't take it no more. Again, fire it up. Can't take it no more. One more time, fire it up. Can't take it no more. Give them a big round of applause. You may be seated. And we fired up for the March on Washington, the 26th of August, and that's an Arts and Culture Report.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold Penix. So next we have our membership and text alerts, which is going to be done by our young huddler, Gino.
Hi, everyone. All right, is everybody a updated member of the year 2023? Have you renewed your membership? Okay, well, if not, this applies to you as well as those who are not members. The best way to stay informed and into action is to become a member of NAN. Stay informed about NAN events close to where you live. Text Justice, followed by your state, to 59769. Text Justice, followed by your state, to 59769. And another reminder, come to rally at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Gino. So before I open the floor up to any good news, I would like to tell y'all that on Tuesday, June 6th, at 11 to 1 p.m., in front of the Queens County District Attorney's Office at 12606 Queens Boulevard, Kew Gardens, New York, we are rallying for justice against the prosecutorial misconduct and corruption in the Queens County DA's office. So there are also flyers for that I think have been passed around. So if you have that, that is your reminder to join us tomorrow. So we're gonna get into the good news. Come on, y'all. Don't lie to me today.
I did a math quiz today, and I got a 98. I was trying to go for 100, but because I had asked my teacher, she was like, no, but I still got a 98. But I was cool with it, so.
I finally finished my college classes, so that's about it. I got a B+ in the class, so.
Ooh, I know them college classes be hard.
I finished my iReady test and I got a 396.
You could get a 300? I didn't know that was possible. Right.
Hi, good day, everybody, and God bless everybody. I'm so glad we're here together. My good news is that my sister, Janie's Word, is now a first-time published author. Yes. And the name of the book is From Poetry to Song, and it's gospel and secular songs. I'm really, really very pleased and happy with her skill set that she's willing to put it out there like that. It's a beautiful book. And it's just the beginning because I'm going to be one of her main promoters. trying to get it really, really performed somewhere, somehow, with the best musicians possible. So this is the good news I'm sharing with anybody. Anybody's interested, available on Amazon. But this is wonderful news that I'm glad to share.
Hello. This is a little bit different type of good news. About 5 weeks ago, I live in New Jersey, so I'm on the highway. Speed limit's about 50 miles an hour. My front tire hits a pothole, destroyed the tire. The back tire was destroyed. Both rims were destroyed. What's the good news was I was a third lane over. It's on a bridge. My car couldn't control. Once the tires go, you can't control it. So I pulled to the side. The good news was there are trucks and cars going 50, 60 miles an hour. I crossed 2 lanes. Nobody was there at the time. I was fortunate because if there was a car, I wouldn't be here. The second good news was about 3 weeks ago, a brick fell on my head. Now, it sounds worse than it was. Actually, I wasn't in any pain, but it dropped me. My son took me, because he was doing renovations on his front porch. We had a contractor, and then one of the bricks came down on me as I opened the screen door. So went to the hospital. That was the last game the Knicks were playing, so we're watching it. I mean, I was fine. I had a little residual something on the later, but the point being is it could have been a lot worse. Sometimes you have to look at what could have happened, how bad it could have been, and realize some bad things aren't really as bad as they appear.
So I was talking with a friend of mine that I've known for many years. He's a real estate investor and all of this stuff. I've actually was like his supporter when he would do public speaking in public courses. And we made an agreement on Sunday, just yesterday morning, that I'm going to be his co-public speaker. He's going to translate what I'm saying to Spanish. So I'm going to be going into public speaking starting sometime this summer.
Okay, community, this is a long time waiting, but on Tuesday, June 13th at 5:30, we are going to have an educational forum, Learn to Represent Your Child, for caregivers with children with disabilities, and it will be at PS 133 Fred R. Moore, 2121 5th Avenue, New York, New York, 137th zip code, and it will be on 131st Street, and that will be between 5th and Madison Avenue. It starts at 5:30. Come one, come all. Bring as many people as you like. There will be light refreshments, and if you have anything that you'd like to contribute in this session, you are more than welcome to do that. One other announcement. Okay. Juneteenth, because literacy is the big importance right now throughout New York City. So Juneteenth, we are looking for volunteers because it's books first and Juneteenth celebration, and that will be hosted at PS 154 Harriet Tubman, and that is, I want to give it's 250 West 126th Street in the playground between Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard and Frederick Douglass Boulevard. And those dates are Friday on 6/16 and Saturday 6/17. So hope to see people there. I'll have some flyers sent over and put in the back. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so Donald kind of gave a NAN report with the action. Sorry, give you my back. With the action alerts, and Giselle didn't have a report, so I'm gonna share the report because we haven't been here since last week, right? So a lot has been happening, right? Okay, so I know this is also a test because some of the stuff that I'm going to repeat has been mentioned, but I don't know if you guys have been paying attention. Nolan Farrell. Repeat after me. Nolan Farrell. Keith Dawson. Look, y'all need more energy. Nolan Farrell. Keith Dawson. Nolan Farrell. Keith Dawson. Okay, anybody know who those two men are? Keith Gatson, excuse me. Keith Gatson. Anybody know who those two men are? Besides Gina. Besides Gina, Lisa, any of the auxiliary leaders or any of the chapter leaders in the room? Know who Nolan or Keith are? No word either. You're a leader too. No Usman. Okay, yes. That's right. So you were listening. Thank you. Did y'all hear her? That's the two guys that we were talking about for the action in Queens. So last Tuesday, that was not the first action that we had. Last Tuesday, we were outside. Well, two weeks ago, after the last Monday we had, we were outside for Nolan and Keith. Some people made it, others supported from where they were, others supported online. Salute to Meg, who's not here, but she was out there. Jay Murphy was outside. The men's committee, Prison Reform, Victor Pate, JT, Dominique, Marcus Al didn't pull up. Word was outside, of course, so I said you couldn't say it because she was one of the people leading. But it was not, that wasn't an easy trek. We went all the way to Queens, outside of the Queens Criminal Court, but also right across the street in front of Melinda Katz, well, Assistant DA's office, rather. And we know her. And a lot of people, we got pushback about it. People were saying, oh, why y'all doing that? It's not an easy case to fight. But at the end of the day, there was a way that she could have went about it to talk to Nolan and to talk to Keith in order for them to understand exactly what is the problem in holding up their cases. So we will be back outside. And I'm explaining it because I want you to understand what we're doing. You all have the actions in your hands. Our young brother here helped to give those out. That's this piece of paper, right? And those who are watching virtually, when you see this posted on social media tonight and tomorrow, support and share it because it's important. We will be back outside until we get a response. Understand, this is National Action Network. Action is our middle name. And this is an issue that we are not going to let up. Rev has been talking about these two young men, young and old men, who have been basically railroaded and were not treated properly. Prison reform is something on our list. Mental health reform is something on our list. All of those impact both of them. So if you believe in that and what we're saying, y'all should be outside and supporting. And if you can't join us for that, share it so that others can join us Tuesday in Queens, okay? So everyone, again, Nolan Farrell, repeat after me, Nolan Farrell. Keith Gatson. Okay, and understand that young people, that could be any of y'all because they were railroaded as 18-year-olds. One was 18 years old, they were children. And one served over 30 years in prison. We talk about the exonerated 5, and we have people right here amongst us who have done more time for no reason. So it's important to know their names and to tell their stories because what's happening to them can happen to you, and we don't want that to happen. That's why we're fighting. And that's one of the reasons why we're gathering August 26th for one of those reasons. It's criminal justice reform and mental health reform because that's part of the impact. Okay, that's one. 2, last Thursday was, anybody knows what happened? What was last Thursday? It was legal night, but in addition to legal night, what was it in the civil rights community? Patrice cannot answer. Anybody else know what happened last Thursday that we were a part of? I'm gonna give y'all a hint. Terrence Floyd. And who was Terrence Floyd? Just George Floyd's brother. Now, anybody know what happened last Thursday? It's what happened last Thursday. Word. That's right. Say it again louder. That's right. Thank you, Word. Let's clap her up. Word is one of our leaders, and she's not on payroll. She's not staff, and she is outside on every occasion helping to lead the way, and I salute you. And she is our elder, but she has a younger spirit than most of us. So thank you for that. But yes, last Thursday, we celebrated. Some of us were there. Some of us were there in spirit. Some of our leadership spoke. We stood with Terrence Floyd. George Floyd, so many people, the world erupted when we saw what happened to George Floyd, but so many people have left the fight. So many people have moved on, don't say his name, don't even know what's going on. And it's okay. Some people, some people are not like long-term fighters, but some of us here are. So we want to make sure we support their family. We supported them here in Minneapolis. We supported them in Florida and Texas. So we want to make sure that the entire Floyd family knows that we love them, we support them, and we're continuing to stay with them in this fight because the Floyd fight is not over. I know so many things, you're going to hear so many things tonight about so much that has happened to other black men and black women in our community, but we can't move on from those who we stand with, just like the Gardners. Emery was not here tonight, but we opened up in prayer about Emery Gardner. Her brother is in critical condition. Emery is the youngest Gardner of the pack. He was the youngest son of Eric Gardner, and he is fighting for his life. So make sure you say a prayer because you don't know what's going on, the stress of what's going on, the death in their families. You just don't know what's going on. So say a prayer for the Gardner family. That's Kaylee that we see, that's a part of Huddle. That's Alyssa, that's EJ, that's their uncle. So make sure you say a prayer for them. That's why you haven't seen them here, okay? Sorry, I know I'm a little long-winded, but it's important that you know all this information. Last Friday, well, this past Friday, we we're going to talk about Garrett Warren. Some of y'all were here when his family came in. That was a young boy, 13-year-old that was found. And then Usman, I don't know, can I share that information? You sure? Can I? Okay. The other young man, that was Usman's cousin who was found. He's 11 years old. So make sure you keep Usman, raise your hand, sorry. That was his cousin who was found also. So it's a very sensitive topic. You just don't know how close it was to home. I didn't even know that. So make sure you keep Usman and his family in your prayers. Keep both of the family of the young men in your prayers. We were at the funeral for Garrett Warren. Gina was there. She was representing public advocate Jamani Williams, and she spoke very well. Yusef Salam was there. It was sad. It shouldn't have happened. We should not have been there. And that's why we started this initiative to protect and save black boys. But it's something serious. It's not just the cops. It's not just the government. It's on us too. So there's a whole accountability all around, and we have to make sure that doesn't just go under the rug because I already have seen people just move along from that. Also, Jordan Neely, say his name. Jordan Neely. Do y'all remember who Jordan Neely is? Yes, ma'am. Who? Say it again. Say it again. That's right. He's the young man who was killed on the train, was held, choked on the train for 15 minutes. That case is not over. It's far from over. And we have to remain vigilant in these streets. The government, the city has made commentary about it. They've made statements, blanket statements. People have pledged certain things, but we need to make sure we hold them accountable to make sure Jordan Neely, his legacy, at the end of the day, everybody went crazy for that, but there has been no outcome for that. There has been no reform from that outrage. So you have to make sure the outrage has gotten people out of the streets, people stopping trains, but there has been no justice or accountability for that. So we want to make sure that we keep that going. Lastly, one more, sorry. Urban League Gala, and what gala did you attend on behalf of Huddle? LGBTQIA? Yes. What was the name of it? Glisten Awards. So I just wanted to salute Glisten Awards and National Urban League for hosting, and the Frederick Douglass, that's National Urban League Awards, for hosting us, hosting National Network, and they allowed Huddle to have representation at both events. It was great networking, and we salute Urban League for all the work that they do. They're a national partner to NAN, and their Urban League Young Professionals are a partner with us. What is happening with the kings of our world? What is coming up? What national holiday? Father's Day. No? Father's Day? No? We're not excited for Father's Day? We love our fathers, right? I love my daddy. I don't know about y'all. But we celebrate the fathers of our community. They are pillars of our community. We would not be here without the fathers of our community. So we celebrate you all. Winston, of course, father, all the fathers here. We celebrate you. We salute you. We will be having Save Our Sons. It's a big men's forum next week. We are starting early at 5:30. We're starting at 5:30. It's an important conversation. It will be led by black leaders in our community, and we hope that you come and you join us next Monday. That's how we'll be celebrating Father's Day and talking about saving our sons. And last but not least, we lost pillars in our community. Bill Perkins, some of us paid our respects at FCBC at his funeral. Also, Carol Taylor, she was one of the founding nationalists in Harlem. You used to greet her, you would say, "How are you?" And she would say, "At war." But she was real, she was literally at war. It was never sleep. She was always on time. Before woke, she was woke. But she is gone. May she rest in peace. She was a soldier. That woman, that was a real frontline soldier, and I salute her legacy, and we pray for her children and hope that they know that their legacy will continue on. Juneteenth, as Gina said, we're excited for Juneteenth here. I think Usman and Felipe are working on something in the community as far as Juneteenth, but we are also excited for Loudmouth. Loudmouth is coming out on Juneteenth on Showtime, so it's already on Apple Plus, Apple TV Plus, but it's coming out on Showtime for Juneteenth. So we're excited about that, and we're excited to celebrate. And there's also an event happening here for Juneteenth. I believe Don Jones is coordinating that, so we of course want to support that event. All right? I know I said a lot. Hopefully you will see some of it. Thank you. Turning it back to Giselle.
Thank you, Ash. I hope everybody remember what she said. I know it was a lot, but my fault. I'm bougie now, so it holds it for me. So I would like to end off the good news with saying I am officially done with high school. Stop, I'm so happy. I don't gotta think about another year. So as y'all already know, well, some of y'all know, I'm going to the military next year. I'm going to the Navy. Yeah. Y'all don't want me to go to the Army, because I'll die behind this country. So y'all don't want me to go to the Army, but I'm gonna go to the Navy. I'm gonna be a Navy nurse commissioned officer. And I hope to continue also here while I'm there. And I don't know, we're gonna make something work. But this is, y'all still gonna see more of me. Y'all still got me. So, thank you. So, with that being said, I would like to go into our Did You Know segment, because you may not have known, so we're here to tell you. So, first one is going to be done by yours truly. And the first one is about Dr. Cornel West. How many of y'all know who he is? Okay, I like that. I could get with that. All right, so Cornel West announces presidential campaign seeking third party's nomination. Cornel West, the noted scholar who has straddled the lines of academics and activism for decades, on Monday announced his third-party candidacy for president in the 2024 election. The current esteemed member of the faculty at Union Theological Seminary, however you want to pronounce it, made the unexpected announcement on social media where he laid out the foundation of his candidacy. I am running for truth and justice as a presidential candidate for the People's Party to reintroduce America to the best of itself, fighting to end poverty, mass incarceration, ending wars, and ecological collapse, guaranteeing housing, health care, education, and living wages for all, West tweeted, "Join the movement." The tweet is accompanied by a video in which West said his candidacy was motivated by truth and justice. The video said in part, "I enter in the quest for truth, I enter in the quest for justice, and the presidency is just one vehicle to pursue that truth and justice, what I've been trying to do all of my life." The video also has disparaging words for Republican frontrunner Donald Trump, as well as the President Joe Biden, who announced his campaign to seek re-election last month. West said he will be running his presidential election for and seeking the nomination from the People's Party, whose website describes itself as aiming to break up the corporate state and guarantee every American a good-paying job, health care, housing, peace, and freedom. Cornel West, who is known for his intellectual activism, has had an illustrious career in the education section. He has taught at Harvard University, Yale University, Princeton University, Dartmouth College, Pepperdine University, and the University of Paris. He also hosted a radio show talk with talk show host Tavis Smiley from 2010 to 2013. In 2008, West supported Barack Obama during his run for president, but would later go on to retract his support in 2011 for Obama's centrist ideals. In 2016 and 2020, West supported and campaigned for Bernie Sanders. Once Sanders was defeated by Hillary Clinton in the 2016 primary, West turned his support toward Green Party nominee Jill Stein. Now, West will try to take his progressive agenda and the People's Party to the White House. So this is a developing story that will be updated as additional information becomes available, of course. So, question. So everybody knows what the People's Party is, right? Raise of hands. Okay, what's the People's Party? Somebody say it. What's the People's Party? You said what? Nah, cause y'all lying, cause y'all said y'all know what it was. So I'ma just give y'all a quick. I'm gonna tell y'all what it is. I'm gonna give y'all a quick description. The People's Party, also known as the Populist Party or simply the Populist, was a left-wing political party in the United States in the late 19th century. The Populist Party emerged in the early 1890s as an important force in the southern and western United States, but collapsed after it nominated Democrat William Jennings Bryan in the 1896 United States presidential election. A rump faction of the party continued to operate into the first decade of the 20th century, but never matched the popularity of the party in the early 1890s. So it's basically a third political party. It's a political party. So, as is said in the article that Dr. West, he wants to use the political party to run for his election. So what's your thoughts on that? Being as he's not running for a Democrat or a Republican party. Anybody could come up, say your thoughts.
Okay, Cornel West is brilliant. He could probably kill that whole woke conversation. However, he's about the crankiest guy I ever seen in public space. When it comes to talking, public speaking, he is super cranky. I mean, I remember him saying, you know, I'm glad we got Barack Obama, but he's kind of like Jackie Robinson. We need Willie Mays. I'm like, hey, will you shut up? Meaning, Jackie Robinson was great, but Willie Mays was much more effective for those of you who don't know the difference between the two. Anyhow, but I could see if he became the cabinet member for the education cabinet member, that would be epic, because he would kill a lot of the negativity in the public space around woke, around education in general. I think he would really be excellent if he did that. So I don't see him winning because he's too cranky, and he don't know how to get along with anybody. So I don't know how yeah, I understand it. I'm like, how would he even create any, huh? Yeah, but again, being a cabinet member, I think that would be awesome. I'm complete.
Okay.
That's the beautiful thing about democracy. Anyone who believes that they're qualified to run, they have an opportunity to run. So even though the chance of this particular third-party candidate even winning, what he's able to do is share ideas that the people may like so much that the people may want the nominated candidate to now implement. Because usually some people get involved on that level so they can share ideas that are currently not being talked about. So he's taking advantage of an opportunity to share his ideas, probably with the full understanding that he's not going to get elected, but that's not the reason he's there. He's there to be heard for the people and also now encourage these nominated candidates to now consider these ideas. So I'm really glad that he has the nerve to do that. He has something that he believes needs to be shared for the people, because regardless of what his attitude is, we know he's for the people. He's very, very passionate, and he holds on to anger in a way that obviously helps him academically, but he's an older man, and he's seen a lot, and he's been traumatized as a result of it. We all have in our own way. But in the meantime, he still believes that he's capable of really, really contributing to the good of society. So God bless him. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Usman Diallo, and I would like to agree with what Sister Word said, because I believe Dr. West is not only joining to just win a nomination, but he's joining to force some uncomfortable conversations to happen. Because if we just have our nominees be Donald Trump or President Biden, or Ron DeSantis or President Biden, then some of the ideas we have are going to get lost. Because instead of it being centrist, or instead of it being more leftist, or some of the ideologies we align with, everything is going to go towards the center and towards the right. And where some of our people ideologies are going to get left behind. And also with Dr. West entering that, this political space, it gives us that third option that we also want to choose from. We believe every year we choose from the devil or the worst, or second best option. Now we have a third option to choose from, and we have a third set of ideas. And hopefully something happens where he can corral the support. He can corral the support of his people, and get somewhere. Because I already started saying, "Oh, he's old. He's old." He's 10 years younger than both Donald Trump and President Biden. So let's give him a chance, and let's see what's going on. Thank you.
One of the problems Cornel West will have is that most people don't pay attention to prior to real close to the election. They might watch one or two debates, but usually what's happened lately is he won't be on the debate stage. You have to have a certain percentage, and it's in one way kind of fixed, to keep, certain people away from the stage. As you mentioned, the ideas that will be put forth is one thing, but what usually happens, and I've noticed this and realized this in about the last 15 years, was that people vote, and what they do afterwards, it's your job to fix it. And for a lot of people, if you don't fix it within a half hour of taking office, their polls shrink. So that's one of the problems. People can have the greatest ideas, but people don't listen. I asked one person, I won't say, who she wanted to vote. She was 18 years old, and I said, why? I don't know. She just picked one of the candidates, and people really, probably a small percentage, really pay attention to the issues, and then of that percentage, as I said, not that many, they expect other people to solve it. And us as a humanity have to be the driving force for change, not beyond politics.
Did you tell that young lady to come to Huddle?
What?
Did you tell the young lady to come here?
Oh, this is before I started come a year ago, but she wouldn't have come. I guarantee it. Who she wanted to vote for, nobody in this room would vote for. So she wouldn't have come. Nice person, but the point I was trying to make is that people don't know. How can people, and one last thing, I don't want to keep it too long. I'm amazed the last few elections. It's a week before, they have this group of people, they don't know who they're going to vote for. You have to know what you believe in, and then you'll know who you vote for even months or before the election.
Let's clap him up. Thank you, Bruce. All right, I do agree with what Bruce said. The latter of what Bruce said, as far as you have to know who you're voting for. So there's two parts to it for me. And first, I'll say this for those watching. Everyone speaking, we're not endorsing anybody. This is basically a conversation about the election. And Nan, of course, does not endorse people. So if anybody said anything, everybody that made statements for speaking on their own behalf, including me. So with that said, I have my own personal feelings about Dr. Cornel West because Dr. Cornel West's journey is not new to me, so I know certain things that are questionable, that I didn't agree with, certain things that he did. He is an intellect, and that's not debatable, just like Dyson's intellect, but you don't agree with everything everyone does. But as far as presidency, he's running to be the president of the United States. Yes, what Usman said, and I forgot who, I think Word said it, people run to put issues in the race. Reverend Al Sharpton, that's one of the reasons why he ran. So I understand that strategy, but I don't know if that is the strategy. I don't know if he is being used as a distraction for Trump or the Democrats. I don't know which side he's on because at the end of the day, he tarries, which is why he's doing the third-party line. So you have to be careful what you are looking at, what you're seeing. I Googled when I looked for this article particularly, I Googled Cornel West, and if you look at the articles that are out announcing his presidency, they're all very neutral. And if you know Cornel West, he is not a neutral man. So there's a reason why that announcement and the way it's being put out is being put out in that way. Why we do Huddle is because I want you to learn how to think. I want you to know how to understand what you're doing, what you're perceiving. I'm not telling you the choices to make. You make your own choices, but you understand what you're looking at. Don't just take the news for the news. Don't just take it, it's a black man. They told you he was smart and brilliant, and he'll be good for you. Know who you're looking at. Know what his record is. Know what his stance is. I think what you said as far as cabinet, for those type of geniuses and things like that, directly, I think those would be good for cabinet positions because you have to know how to govern. The president has to know how to govern and do things in order. It's not just specific things. And that's why you have to be careful, like we saw the mayoral race. We saw the city council race. There are things that happen. People throw things in there. People have different agendas. So you have to understand the politics. You have to understand exactly what you're looking at and understand how to measure it. So I understand y'all not going to get that in this one sitting, but I want you all, including you, him just being black and intellectual and brilliant is not good enough for you to choose him to be president. Just like it's not good enough for Biden because he's, you know what I'm saying? Everyone has to have a reason, so we got to be smart. And Trump and DeSantis, they coming. Republicans is out here. So we have to be smart and understand what we're doing and play for ourselves. So thank you.
Yep.
The thing is, and a bit off topic from the political thing, the whole world basically got resulted and completely smushed into a tablet, a phone, and all this other stuff. So most of all this political stuff, millions of people won't care about because it won't affect them. At the end of the day, they'll just live their lives, and if things change. But we aren't necessarily going to be like that because, Trump versus Hillary, Biden versus Trump, all this stuff, entertainment. Whoever I agree with, that's who I go with, end of story, Not much it changes, but that's just who I like more. And that's not going to be a demographic most people can go for. If you're not likable, you're not going to get votes. But all in all, we should probably realize, it's more than just, the screens, the things like that. Not taking away the screens. Understand that we should use the screens and make the screens more than just the world, end quote. It should just be more than that. We should actually go for people who want to be there, And I guess that's all I want to say.
Okay, no more? No more. I'm bougie. So I'm not going to say anything about you guys' comments. I agree with most of you, though. What I would like to say, this is my first time that I'm going to be voting. This is my first year I'm going to be voting. So I'm not, should I have put that in my good news? I don't know. But yeah, y'all, your girl is getting older. So I don't know how Ashley is going to help me because she has no choice. But I don't know how this process works. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I'm not into politics at all. Cause I don't agree with what anybody does. I don't know why. I just like, when they say the things that they're gonna do, I'll be like, it's not enough. Like, what other, like, there's more to be done. Like, student debt, like, y'all not talking about that. They're homeless people, like, y'all just talking about learning more ways to make more money to keep for yourself, and I don't like that. So, how am I gonna change it, right? And that's why this is my first year to learn. So I can't really, No, I'm not. I am not a coon. I'm smart. Nah, but yeah, that's about it. I really feel like because I researched Dr. West, I do think that he's very intellectual. And, I was talking to Ash in the back, and I was like, I would vote for him. I would vote for him. But then again, I do want to know, like, what is he going to do for us? Just because he's a black man doesn't mean that he's going to, because certain people get in that spot, and then all of the ideas that they had when they went through with their election, they let the fame take those ideas and run. So since this is my first year, I'm really gonna research, learn more about politics, learn more about the people who was running for election, and that's why I cannot echo off of what any of you guys said. So with that being said, for our second Did You Know, because you may not have known, we are gonna call up Miss Ashley Sharpton, our Huddle founder. Let's get into it, Ash.
Thank you. And again, everybody on the mic, our opinions are our own. All right, Tyree Nichols. My piece is more informational, but if you have questions or commentary, you're welcome to the mic, but I do not have a question, just letting you all know. All right, lawyers for Tyree Nichols' family filed a $550 million federal lawsuit against the city of Memphis in April. During the national convention, it was announced, seeking damages in the beating death in January of the 29-year-old black man at the hands of police, according to attorney Ben Crump. The lawsuit and the massive award that the family is seeking are meant to send a message to Memphis and to other United States cities that continued brutalization of black men will be wrenchingly expensive in hopes of forcing a change in the way police officers are hired and trained. The specific number of $550 million was chosen as a reference to 55 years since civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, also in Memphis, Crump said. This lawsuit and the amount we are suing for is a message that if you keep giving license to these gang-minded police officers to perpetrate acts of terrorism on black and brown people, then we're coming to your city and we're going to bring these lawsuits, Crump said at a news conference in Memphis. Crump has negotiated multi-million-dollar settlements in other high-profile civil rights cases in recent years, including $27 million from the city of Minneapolis for the police killing of George Floyd, and $12 million from the city of Louisville for the police shooting death of Breonna Taylor, whose birthday is also today. Nichols died on January 10th, 3 days after his beating by police during a traffic stop. A nationwide outcry and protest followed, leading to the arrest and indictment for second-degree murder of 5 police officers, which is historic. The officers, all black, unfortunately, pleaded not guilty and were scheduled for a court appearance on May 1st. Memphis officials and Shelby County prosecutors acted swiftly in meeting and handing out discipline after police video showed officers punching Nichols with his hands held behind his back, kicking him in the head, and beating him with the baton, which is like the stick that the cops carry, after they said he swerved in and out of traffic. Police and fire department responders left a mortally wounded Nichols on the ground, his hands cuffed behind his back and intermittently propped him against a patrol car. It took several minutes before medical care was provided, the police video showed. Besides the 5 criminally charged, 2 additional police officers were fired, 3 more were suspended, bless you, and 2 had internal disciplinary charges dropped. Yet another officer retired while being recommended for termination. It was bad, but it was legal apparently, so we have to get that changed. 3 fire department employees were also fired and a 4th was suspended. Besides seeking damages for wrongful death, Crump's legal team is also suing Memphis police for intentional infliction of emotional distress for lying to his mother, right? So today, why this is important, today is Tyree Nichols. It would have been his 30th birthday, right? And it's interesting that his birthday and Breonna Taylor's birthday fall the same day. That's crazy. Memphis remembered him today, June 5th, in celebration of what had been his 30th birthday. Again, Attorney Ben Crump and Antonio Ramanucci, hope I said that properly, serve as legal representation for Nichols' family, and they continue to stand with the mother. We both know the mother, Rovon Wells, she's been here on our platform, and Rodney Wells, her husband, in continuing to fight for justice for them. For the last 6 months, the world has watched the mother and father wither through the tragic loss of their son. The officers were scheduled to appear in court today, okay? The officers were scheduled to appear in court today, June 5th, on Nichols' birthday, but the court hearing for all 5 former MPD officers would just happen to be reset. Rovon and Rodney continue to seek justice for their son, preparing to meet the 5 former officers charged with Nichols' murder in court for a trial. So we should be preparing, as we were saying, as things go under the rug, as pressure begins, it moves in and out. Now these cases, they're supposed to be in court, it's supposed to be May 1st, and it's supposed to be today. Now it's reset again. So we need to continue to keep the pressure on around the death of this young man, Tyree Nichols, around, even though it's in Memphis, we can help to raise noise. We help to raise noise nationally all the time. It's also, as far as we go into the March on Washington, it's also related to that. Rovon Wells is one of the families that's leading it. So we need to make sure we support them and continue to fight. It's also mental health reform and police reform. It's a 2-form battle with this case specifically. So we need to make sure we continue to watch what's happening in the news, what's happening with the cases, and support when Crump calls for action, when Rev calls for action, and when Rovon Wells calls for action. Can we say his name together? Tyree Nichols? One more time, Tyree Nichols? He would have been 30 years old today, and he should have been celebrating his birthday. We will continue to fight on for justice in his name.
Thank you, Ash. So for our third digital, I would like to call up Miss Patrice. Clap it up for her, y'all.
Good evening, Huddle family. So, one of my young people, tell me what does June stand for? What's the month of June? What do we say? No, Ashley, you disqualified. One of our young people, what is June? Stand up and tell me, what is June known for? What do we celebrate throughout the month of June? Not your birthday, Usman. Come on, stand up and say it loud and strong. Take a guess. Take a guess. The clue is you wear orange for it. So what is June known for? There you go. Thank you, Gino. All right, I love it. I gave you a little clue, but clap him up because our young people need to know that. The month of June is recognized as Gun Violence Awareness Month, and state lawmakers and advocates are pushing for more legislation and funding to combat the problem. New York has some of the strictest gun laws in the country, but State Senator Zelenor Myrie from Brooklyn said more can definitely be done before the end of the legislation session in June. Myrie noted a bill passed the state Senate last week that would redefine the terms mass shooting to mean a shooting incident that involves one or more firearms, during which 4 or more people other than the shooter are injured. You guys got that? That's what they consider to be a mass shooting now. Currently, the state has no legal definition for mass shootings. The definition is aligned with the Federal Bureau of Investigations. By defining mass shootings, the bill's goal is to unlock emergency funding and access the programs such as crisis response and mental health assistance. Assemblywoman Monique Chandler Waterman, who was definitely a NAN fellow, she supported us, we've supported her. She's been with us on the front line many times. She sponsored this bill that's in the Assembly. She said, while the state is seeing a drop in shootings so far this year compared to 2022, that brings little comfort to families that have already lost people to gun violence. We need common sense gun laws that would take the gloves off to hold gun manufacturers and traffickers accountable. This is a high partisan issue, costing lives and impacting the future of our country. I'm calling on everyone, regardless of affiliation, to join us in this effort. New York lawmakers returned to Albany last summer after the Supreme Court struck down a case that the state's old system concealed carry gun permits in public. State lawmakers being challenged in court. Earlier this year, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled the state can for now continue to enforce one of the laws which ban guns from the streets. So now, yes, we know that June is Gun Violence Awareness Month, but it's so many things that are going on that can be connected. So I have a question for you guys. And this leads into an initiative that National Action Network, NAN Youth Huddle, is starting. Have you guys noticed that a lot of the gun shootings are young black men? Have you noticed that? Yes, I know that we're concerned about our young ladies out here also, but the most recent shootings has always been young black men. So the National Action Network Youth Huddle, we see an urgency. So we've started a campaign called Save Our Sons. Ashley talked about it. Next Monday, right here, starting at 5:30, it will be a black males, in particular, black male-led summit. It's considered a state of emergency. Our young men are being killed, especially our black boys. But I have a question. So we say June is Gun Violence Awareness Month. You see a lot of orange. You see a lot of signs. Do you think that's enough? And if you don't think that's enough, what do you think can be done? Now remember, I know we have a lot of gun buybacks within the month of June. I know we're doing the March on Washington. Definitely we will have them on the stage, some of the families who've lost people. But do y'all think that it's just enough to say gun violence awareness for 30 days, with 30 days in June? So come up, let us know what you think. Some of our young people, do you think a month is good enough for gun violence awareness?
No, not really, because the violence, it goes on every day. I mean, I don't know if some of you guys watches the news and stuff, because I always watch it with my mom in the morning before I wake up. But when I wake up, and so yeah, because the violence it keeps on going and going and going. So to be honest, I think it shouldn't just be a month. It should be all the time. Marches, protests. Yeah.
Thank you. Come up, sis. Tell us, what do you think? Do you think a month is enough, or should we be doing stuff daily?
How you doing, sis? I just want to give honor to NAN, National Action Network, all of its members, its founder. And I'm just appreciative that it's even here, because I was on my way to take care of some business. I said, let me stop me for a minute. And I'm a little out of breath, so excuse me. Thank you. The only way I knew it was Gun Violence Month is because I saw Channel 2 and Channel 7 News. I don't see no flyers up in my neighborhood. I don't see no propaganda in the subways, nothing on the buses. You know, NAN is about the only thing, that you see talking about it. I don't see nothing up in the communities. I noticed a picture of a young boy that's missing from Brooklyn outside this door. And we are truly in a state of emergency. We really are. And so they had all these marches over the bridge and all of this kind of stuff here and whatnot. But if we don't see the urgency, I think part of the reason we don't see the urgency is because we were brought here as a people. The Black American was brought here And so we don't really know our lineage, number one. And so the fact that we don't know our lineage as a black people, and you have many people that's black in this country that don't identify with Black American. You know, they can pack a bag and go home to Turks, wherever they call it, or Jamaica, Caribbean, wherever. I'm talking about the Black American. We don't really know who we are. And we partake of so many things that's going on, the Christmas, the holidays, Easter, and all this kind of stuff here. But we are African.
So you think we need more than a month?
Yeah, this whole month thing serves really not too much purpose because, like the sister said, we the ones that we see on TV every day getting shot 25 times in the head and all those kind of things here. This is every day. And I got to the point where I was asking, are there any white folks getting shot? Because all you see is blacks getting murdered every day on television. And I was wondering, are there any white folks dying? Because I was just, you know what I'm saying? And people say, well, in their communities, you know, in East New York and Jersey and all those kind of places, wherever these white folks are, they getting killed too. But on their TV, they see it, on their television. So, I didn't mean to be long-winded, but yeah, a month ain't nothing. It's got to be more because we're dying at alarming rates. And our religions, if I may, our religions are what's keeping us separated. And what's that word that they like to use? It's keeping us lackadaisical, for lack of a better word. I forget the name of the word they use. But it's keep our religions, because this one is saying, well, when you die, you're going to heaven. That one's saying, so our religions are keeping us divided. That don't worry about it, because when you die, if you do well, you're going to heaven. So that has a lot to do with it too. And I just want to say one thing. That young brother that spoke, this young man right here, I don't know your name. What's his name? Yeah, I like the way Darnell think. So you be careful out there, Darnell.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sister Word.
Okay, my first thought is they don't need to even have a month. Don't even talk about it on that level. The reality of it is, it's endless for some families who have lost their families to gun violence. So even just designating any time for us now to be aware of it, like we're not aware of it anyway. They don't need to have a month, they don't need to have a day, they don't need to have a week. The legislations need to reflect what the people want. We want guns reduced on the streets, particularly these automatic rifles. So it's just the fact that they have in a month, I find it personally insulting to tell us when to remember gun violence. We constantly think of it. And when I think of gun violence in particular, I think of police officers who have perpetrated gun violence also. Because usually when they do this gun violence awareness month, they're only talking about civilians. But it also includes the police officers who really erratically use their weapons to murder people also. So this whole awareness, we stay aware. We don't need to be given permission for the month of June to remember gun violence. We stay aware. Get out of here. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I feel like the way we designate the Gun Violence Awareness Month is not just to keep us aware that gun violence is happening, because for some of us, gun violence is every day. Every time you hear that phone ring, you hear somebody's dead, you think, was it gun violence? You think that, when you hear it's not, there's a rock lifted off your heart, because if you hear that it is gun violence, you know there's something coming afterwards. You know that more people may be able to die upon that one incident. Tens of other people can die behind that. So I think the month serves as, okay, now let's get to work for the community violence groups that's out there. Let's talk to these legislators for the community violence groups that's out there. Let's get laws passed. The CVI just got a whole bunch of money from President Biden that we can now use to implement programs and implement community working groups that's consistent. So now our job is to not only hold our community violence groups accountable, but to ask them where this money is going. How are we making programs like Huddle that's consistent, that's serving young black men and black boys and black women and everything. So once we get that out there and once we figure out where the money is going and we figure out how can we get more money and engage the youth so you're not out there in the streets, so you're not out there thinking about ways to get money that endangers your life, I think that's when we have a better conversation and a better working group on how to stop the massive gun violence that keeps happening. And then, yes, we need the gun buybacks and stuff like that, but the more we pour into our youth is the better options we're going to get. So even you pour into that youth, you give them that sense of respect and that sense of urgency that, yes, I care about you, they won't even think about going to pick up a gun. It's easier to go get a gun. It's more easier for you to go get a gun than get a scholarship. And that's a simple fact out here. So let's work on being my brother's keeper, my sister's keeper. Let's work on being a community. And once we be a community, everything else is going to be better.
All right. Are we going to wrap it up?
I'll make it quick then. Yeah. The major issues in life cannot be confined to 1 month. There's 11 other months. And having a holistic look at life can put things in perspective. And therefore, if there's a continuous effort, you have to reach out to people, as I said before, and get other people to talk about it, to understand it in more depth from a psychological aspect, from a political aspect, from an economic aspect. And I could go on, but I know you want to do other things.
No, thank you. Our young man is going to wrap us up. Come on, Darnell.
And I know this may seem a bit weird to say right now, but it's not the guns. If you remove the guns, people will get stabbed. If you remove the knives, people will get strangled. If you remove the hands, however, people will get headbutt. This will continue to happen no matter which way you try and stop it. Anyway, it's not the guns. It's how people use it. Because right now, there are people who don't understand who's trying to protect them and who's not. So they're like, oh God, someone's after me, let me get the gun. Oh God, this guy disrespected me. I have to do what my due diligence says in my community. If you mess me up, I shoot you. And it's like, what's the point of that? Just stop it where it stops. It's like, if someone insults you, you either walk away or you shout back at them. That's basically what's happening with the guns at this point. It's not even the fact that you want to harm them. It's like, I feel like it's my due diligence to. It's not psychopath tendencies, because if that was the case, we'd have like 10 people dead every day if it was psychopathic tendencies at this point. It's not that. It's the culture surrounding it. And if we remove the guns, which is impossible, people will just find more. And you might be thinking, what about the police? It's not the police either. If they try and help, it's going to be misunderstood or not seen. If they try and be overextending, they're going to be misunderstood. And people are like, hey, why are they so touchy on us? I don't have anything. And then those who don't have anything are like, wow, this policeman was really stuck up. Let me get a gun to protect myself because this guy's really misunderstanding his priorities. Somebody has a gun in my neighborhood and I'm being called out, I'm just walking about my day. And the thing is, respect isn't given. You don't just have it automatically, no matter what you are. Whether you're a parent, a police officer, the president, you could be the leader of the best country, best person in the world. Nobody owes you respect. You earn that over time. And once people learn that, that's when you start to gain respect. And that's where the gun violence comes in. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you. From the mouth of our young people, just remember, a lot of the crisis management groups were right here on NAN's stage, received a lot of funding. And Word brought up something earlier. It's the truth. Like, why don't we see anything in the stations? Why don't we see them outside unless something is happening? They should be always out here giving us stuff aware MTA, we pay a lot. They're raising it, right? Why can't they have something go across the screen that say it's Gun Violence Awareness Month? MTA makes a lot of money from all of us on the buses. You see the time the train is coming, you can tell somebody to put that gun down or do something. So maybe that's a campaign that National Action Network, NAN Youth Huddle, can work on with MTA to make sure that they are showing on their the Gun Violence Awareness Month what to do, who to reach, maybe put up a couple of organizations they can reach out to if they feel threatened. That's a great idea. So we're going to write that down in our notes, and we are the National Action Network, so we'll be back with a plan. So that wraps up my Did You Know? Young people, be aware the weather's changing. Make sure that you know what's happening. Parents, check your children's room. Y'all know those guns are under those pillows. Let's be real about it. Check their room. Don't be scared of them. Stop liking their picture on Instagram. Go in their room and flip up that mattress. My mother used to do it. And guess what? We didn't have nothing in that house because we knew she was coming. But stay alert, stay aware. Gun Violence Awareness Month. We pray for our young people, pray for your kids before they walk out the house and when they return. And that wraps up my Did You Know? Thank you.
Thank you, Patrice. So our second to last Did You Know is going to be done by Mr. Mo Bars. Clap it up for Mo, y'all. Y'all are tall.
Y'all awake? Caught you. Okay. I think you guys touched on this a little bit earlier. Third boy was with Alpha Barry, Garrett Warren, before they went missing. I think it was already mentioned that Usman is related to Alfie. I don't know in what capacity, but our heart goes out to you. I know that it's not easy at all, and then everything that's coming behind this story just keeps reopening the wound. So my thoughts and prayers to both families, because, it's been, said that, one kid is getting more, I guess, notoriety than the other because of the other child's so-called reputation. But at the end of the day, 2 young lives were lost. So it doesn't matter at all who did what, when. Families are destroyed forever, affiliates, friends, they're all affected by it. Authorities say the boy told police that the 2 boys were shoving each other before falling into the water. Police are still working to find out if any criminality was involved or if it was a tragic accident. The NYPD is in need of the public's assistance as they work to find out more specific details on what took place by the Harlem River, where Warren and Barry went missing over 2 weeks ago. An intense police search led detectives in the NYPD Harbor Unit to find both boys dead. Warren's body was found in the East River last Thursday, and Barry's body was found on Saturday in the Hudson River. Police say the boys were seen in varying locations after being dismissed from school on May 12th, including at a fish market, a deli, and someone's home. At 6:40 p.m. that night, the 2 boys met up with a third boy near 5th Avenue and 143rd Street when they went near the water, and that was the last time the 2 boys were seen alive. At this hour, there's no word on if the third boy was involved in the shoving, but police say there's no indication that Warren or Barry were anything but good kids. The autopsy for Warren revealed the cause of death was an accidental drowning, but Barry's cause of death is still yet to be determined. Oh, that's it. Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys know, about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, we went back there. A few of us went back there, and Pix 11 was back there to interview us, and a couple of us spoke. Just to give you a brief breakdown of what happened back there, just as far as observation back there, that park, that's a state park back there, and it was poorly kept. And one of our NAM members, Stephen Marshall, mentioned on camera, if that park was below 96th Street, some of the things that we've seen back there wouldn't ever be kept like that. In Battery Park, Chelsea Piers, the Upper East Side, around 59th Street and Bridge and stuff like that. It would be patrolled, it would be clean every day. They would
probably have security throughout the night and day. But uptown back there, the grass is not cut. There's a piece, the whole water line is guarded off by a metal guardrail, but there was a piece that was missing, and somebody back there quickly put a piece of gate there to cover it up, and they left a concrete bag on the bench. So it looked like they did a quick job just to patch it up. Who knows who did that? Who knows when that was done? But it looks recent because they just left a big bag of concrete on the bench around where they say that the two boys went in. Like I said, the grass is cut. There's no cameras back there. Just like back when we lost Darius, it's the same thing. It's pitch black dark back there. There's street lights back there, but those lights aren't good enough to light up an area. They're those park lights that don't really light up anything. Under the bridge area, no cameras, and it's very dark. They have a bike walkway, and at nighttime, anybody could walk up under there and anything could happen. Back there, back in the day, it was known to be prostitution. People did drugs back there. The homeless slept back there, and that's from 135th all the way up under the 145th bridge. It was just poorly kept. It was horrible. And it's, even though they changed the look of it, it's still poorly unkept. And I noticed as I looked on, I seen people from Riverton houses and Riverbend houses. They had a clear shot view. And I know there's people that sit in those windows all day long, retired or whatever. They're in those windows all day long. So not only did I know that someone seen what happened with the boys, I'm sure they seen what happened when we lost Darius and all those other people were wounded last summer. So, you know, there's a lot of issues in here to play. You know, a lot of things that we need to touch on and we need to be fixed. One, the surveillance of that park. No child should be back there anyway. My friends and myself used to throw cookouts back there, and even we agreed to stop throwing cookouts back there. They put these big boulders at the bridge so people can't pull their cars in. So you can't pull the cars in no more when you're going on 139th. But if you come in from the 135th exit, you can still drive in with your car and drive onto the grass or whatever. That park needs to be. So as far as the people running for office and all of that, that's one of the things we should have on the list, and ask those politicians, what do they plan on doing about community parks like in Harlem as far as fixing it and making sure that there's surveillance and security. Is 2023. It should have been cameras back there a long time ago. That's an isolated, desolate area, and I don't even know how they leave that park like that. I'm not even sure if they fix anything after seeing us on TV. And one of the things I noticed after what happened with these boys, a lot of people have been calling in, hoping that we can find their children. If you came in today, I'm sure you've seen a picture on the wall of a young boy that's missing. Her mother came in last week, and she came in begging for help. She heard about what happened with the boys. She sent the picture, and she's all the way from Brooklyn. So she heard word of mouth, heard about Nan, came in, and we've gotten other calls of people talking about their children or their siblings missing. So this shows how much Nan Reach has and how much work we have to do and how we have to get things done. So one of the missions I really feel, if you have any other ideas as well, as far as what do you feel came from this? What do you feel needs to be learned? You can come up and speak. What lessons do you feel need to be learned? What do we need to have done? And I know one of those things is keeping our young people occupied. I heard somebody talk about it earlier, because when they're idle, this is the things that happen. We may never know what happened back there. Right now, it's just a boy saying what happened. Who knows if he was involved? Who knows what he did? Who knows what really happened? You know, you got people all over the internet talking about what they think happened, and it just makes it worse. But what we can do is try to prevent this from happening again. And I think that's Nan's job. That's our job. Young people, y'all have to make sure you have to keep an eye. This is why they say it takes a village. This is one of the reasons why they say it takes a village. I can't expect once your child leaves the house, you can teach your child everything under the sun, and nothing is new under the sun. Well, you can teach your child everything, but once they step out to the world, to the influence of high school, other people's kids, and what they was taught, you can teach your child everything, responsibility and everything, and he can lose all of that and unravel with one encounter with another kid and an irresponsible parent. You know, a lot of people don't, like they said, they'll take responsibility for their parents. They don't like to look in the closet and look up under the pillows. They know their child may be very well out there doing something, but they're so scared and they have this frame of mind that their child could never. My child would never. My child gives the shirt off their back. Please, stop. Know that your child is up to something. I'm sure we all have parental instincts. Everybody that has a child, I'm sure that there's parental instincts. You have to monitor your children, surveillance them. They don't pay the rent, you do. They don't pay the phone bill, you do. Get involved in their stuff. Look through everything they have. Flip the mattress. Go through the book bag. Look in the lining of their clothes. When they're there, when they're not there, go through it. Make them scared. Make them petrified of bringing anything in that house or stepping out the door to do anything. That's what we have to do, and not just parents, older brothers, older sisters, influential cousins, all of that. Giselle, I'm done.
Thank you, Mo. I really enjoyed that. So for our last Did You Know, I know y'all probably like, thank God, we have Miss Dominique Sharpton. Clap it up.
Hello again. I've misplaced my glasses, so if you see me squinting, it's just because I have a problem seeing. But yes, very important conversation to continue. That is about the mental health services provided to us in literally the state, but also in this country. So recently we learned and knew about the situation with Jordan Neely, the young black man who was literally killed by way of a chokehold, being held down in the subway. And on May 10th, Mayor Eric Adams made his first extended remarks about the death of Jordan Neely. But he claimed that his killing was a tragedy and said that he didn't deserve to die. But Neely didn't receive the critical mental health care, Mayor Adams said, which left him decompensating and calling for help on a subway car in the minutes before he was choked to death. He said himself that he was hungry and thirsty and unafraid to die or go to jail. So Mayor Adams has said to solve the crisis of Neely's death, that lawmakers must make it easier for clinicians and judges to commit people or otherwise order treatment, even against their will. That means changing the standards of the risk to self in New York's mental hygiene law through what Mayor Adams calls the Supportive Interventions Act. So this act and little evidence that Mayor Adams has yet presented has made a very serious push for something that resembles, of course, this piece of legislation that needs to be passed. So we're urging partners in Albany and also those who affect the legislative agenda that we've got to put forward this bill and really commit to passing the Supportive Interventions Act. What it basically will entail is psychiatric crisis care around a comprehensive legislative agenda. It will include an 11-point state-level action plan that includes provisions that are similar to the ones that Mayor Adams described along the measures that would improve discharge planning and expand where and by whom an individual may be evaluated for a psychiatric removal or involuntary commitment or outpatient treatment. So it will basically fund and actually exercise a lot of the practices around the supportive measures from when a person actually, before a person is diagnosed with a quote-unquote something that is a mental illness, and before they are actually released into society or able to engage or interact in society, and what supportive measures are put in place around individuals being able to engage and interact in society with mental health issues. The level of support, of course, has to go through a lot of different funnels of passage and legislative affairs. However, the end goal, of course, is to pass legislation that, of course, will protect us so that we are not encountering, danger and putting ourselves or our lives or our families' lives in danger. The upside to that is that, unfortunately, situations like Jordan Neely is happening, and these measures are not being forced as an emergency plan to put in place. So they're going through these preventive measures, and they're going through all of these conversations about this legislation. Meanwhile, there's nothing put in place. And so on Saturday, for those of you who came to the House of Justice, we were joined by Sister Shawana Vaughn from Silent Cry. And Shawana Vaughn has created a bill in which she is trying to get passed through legislation that will provide mental health care to the incarcerated. And this particular bill, we feel, is an answer to a lot of the questions around interventive supportive measures that we need to put in place around mental health and mental health wellness and mental health support. This bill in particular that Shawana Vaughn is trying to get passed, she was here on Saturday at the rally talking about it. It offers people who are incarcerated mental health services as soon as they enter prison. So this will help to really delve into the pipeline and help to identify those individuals who may need assistance or supportive measures around mental health illness before they are entering back into society while they are incarcerated. There's a large percentage of those people who are incarcerated who are dealing with mental health challenges and are not getting the adequate support and resources while they're incarcerated. So what happens is a lot of the time they are incarcerated with mental health challenges, not getting supported, and then they're released back into society to more issues because they're not getting supported and not getting the resources they need while being incarcerated. And so the cycle really continues, and what's happening is we're seeing so many challenges where they feel like it's an overwhelming issue to even start to approach. They're like, how do we even start to approach this? Because it just seems like it's so overwhelming that there's not a clear pipeline to how to really target the necessary area to really get the best results that we really need to happen. Shawana Vaughn's issue, she was born in prison, sent to foster care, and had her life that was revolving in and out of prison. She felt like a lot of the services that were available to her, she was not eligible for because she was incarcerated, and there were a lack of resources while she was incarcerated to get the help that she needed. She said that she believed that trauma can severely impact the outcome of a person getting a second chance once they're out of prison, as I was stated. And she has prompted to start her nonprofit organization called Silent Cry that really has taken a holistic approach to how individuals receive help post-incarceration. This bill mandates holistic healing at 14 days upon incarceration that people receive trauma-informed care. They're evaluated by trauma-informed therapists, and they receive services, as long as they need it while they are incarcerated. So far, the bill, the Post-Traumatic Prison Disorder, Shawana W76337 bill, comes with a $400,000 price tag. And so we know that money matters. She has gone to get the bill sponsored by state senators. Jabari Brisport was here talking about it on Saturday. But it needs to get to Albany. It needs to get passed. And we shouldn't allow for these stipulations, these issues, to keep us away from getting the services that we need passed and the resources we need to really help us. And so the question becomes, with hearing about all of this, what do we feel could be helpful in talking about these preventive measures around mental health and around the discussion about the resources that we need in our community? Does anyone have any ideas or any? Yes, come on up. Come on up, those of you who want to talk.
Good evening, and thank you very much for having me. I'm so glad that the mental health issue came up. It is an issue that our community needs desperately. can you imagine, or do you remember the young man that was killed in front of his 3-year-old daughter? His 3-year-old daughter was in the back seat of the car, and he was shot in the front. And the little girl actually opened the door and ran out hysterically. What happened to her? That was what we call a post-traumatic stress moment. That 3-4-year-old girl will live with that the rest of her life. In our communities, because of crime, murder, criminality, our children at 3 and 4 years old, they're already dealing with stress and mental health issues. I guess the most important thing I would ask the organization, NAN, to organize within each chapter a mental health outreach in every community. So not that we have or NAN has mental health therapists or clinicians, but that there is a role, a number of people in that community surrounding that chapter, and NAN is aware of it. So when the next step, if that person is taken off the street or lost or come up missing, NAN would be aware. The civil rights organization would be aware. Apart from this mental health issue, I'm going to read this because I walk around with it and I share it, and it's especially pertinent to our community. Good mental health has been described as the result of a life history of successful crisis resolution. You're not going to have good mental health. You're not going to have that in your community unless it has been made a life issue in your community. Apart from this, the missing, I would request that NAN, organize some type of outreach for those missing. They're not just missing here, they're missing all over the country. Children, black children of color, children period, are missing all over the country. 85,000 went missing this school year in Las Vegas, 85,000. And 6 million kids are missing a year. Where are these kids? We don't know, but let's focus on our community. We need to be aware as a civil rights organization how many children are missing in our community and what circumstance. I brought a poster here for a CUNY law student who came up missing. We need to focus on this. The homeless is missing. As far as mental health is concerned, in every jurisdiction, there is some type of safety net, a 72-hour hold, a 5150. I don't care what it is. There is a mechanism there for you to be looked at and held for 72 hours and evaluated. Unfortunately, the pharmaceutical industry is very involved in mental health. So we have to make sure that our communities are not just fed, on pharmaceuticals, which a court order would intervene. It's a big issue. I would really be happy if this 125 odd chapter of this civil rights organization used its wings to embrace these particular issues, the missing and mental health in our communities.
How you doing, Ms. Dominique? First of all, we have to get street permits. Okay, say for instance, I live in the neighborhood. I pay taxes, and even if I don't pay none, that's my neighborhood. So if my kids are coming from college and they want to have a party over a bridge on 139th Street, what should be happening is we get permits, street permits. And think about it early. If you know your kids is coming out of school, they want to celebrate, I don't know how many months ahead of time you have to have a street permit, but it's up to you to go to your city council, that council person, the district person, and tell them we want street permits. And do it often so it'll put it in their head, these are our streets, and we want permits constantly. And just keep it going, going, going. And that way, stuff like what happened to that young man on 139th Street wouldn't have happened. They wouldn't have just upped and had a party. They'd have had permits for that. The second thing I'd like to say is these words like underutilized properties and infill, disenfranchised socioeconomically, all this kind of crap that people like Schumer like to talk about. Those are words they use to get the moolah. That's how they get the moolah. And the new word for the moolah is mental health. So when they talk mental health, that's how they're going to get the cash. And that's all they care about, is getting this. Because as far as mental health go, we were brought here. So most of us are probably a little exhausted up here anyway. So our 40 acres and a mule, we still ain't get that. We ain't get our 40 acres and a mule. We ain't get this. We don't have that. And it just go on and on and on and on and on. So thank God for Nan. Thank God for Huddle. That old lady can get up here and say something.
Thanks for the elbow fist bump. Okay, so my name is Tony Veer. I'm originally from the Bronx, went to high school with DJ Kool Herc, just saying. I've been in personal development since 1999, and they keep taking away your problems and leaving you with a clean future because they eliminate the past. But what I'm really present to, especially in this past year, is the biggest problem we have is not knowing how to manage our emotions. Our emotions manage us because we don't know. We feel a certain way and then we're justified by how we feel. And so the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm willing, if Nan is willing, to share and deliver my course on emotional intelligence called How to Be Happy No Matter What, and make it so that y'all can deliver it in every chapter throughout the United States. I have plenty of courses, so I don't mind giving that one away. I mean, I'm still going to use it myself. But if you want, I'll be happy to give it because that's going to take care of humanity at large, and I'm complete. Let me know what's up.
So please excuse Dominique, y'all. She had to use the restroom. So I'm going to close out for her and say that I think that they should really pass this bill because it would be good as for anybody, but especially for incarcerated men and women in general. They need the help because it has been a lot of cases lately where incarcerated people have been committing suicide. So I think we should support her to the fullest, and we should support this bill to the fullest. That's me closing out for her. Oh, never mind.
One thing, no, I wanted to just share this quote because Shawana Vaughn said it, and I wanted to leave it with y'all. She said, people in trauma don't know they're traumatized, and they're not going to buildings anymore. We need to do non-traditional things in a non-traditional time. So I think that really speaks to the work that Nan is doing. Like the sister said, we need to be more involved in terms of the mental health resources that is allocated to our communities. I do know that Governor Hochul released $1 billion in her state legislative plan, of course, to give services to mental health, particularly mental health services. And we want to know where that funding went. We want to know, like, it went to outpatient services, it went to housing, it went to all of these things. What happened to the money? And so these are things that we just need to really stay abreast on, and really as advocates, to really keep legislatives really at our disposal in terms of the reporting factors we need to know, because we see Jordan Neely's happening, and obviously there's an issue. There's a disconnect with the action that they say they were doing, the resources they have to provide that for us, and of course what's happening to us on these streets. So, gotta stay involved. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Dom. So that closes out our Did You Knows, guys. And I would like to volunteer Patrice's services to close us out in prayer. We love you, Patrice. Usman loves you very much.
Thank you, Giselle. Let us all pray. Most gracious and wise God, we thank you for tonight. We thank you for the National Action Network. We thank you for the National Action Network Nan Youth Huddle. We thank you for our president and our founder. We ask you to bless each and every family that's represented under my voice. We ask you to cover them each and every day when they walk out their house. Continue to have your angels encompass around them. God, we thank you for the healing of Kathy Jordan Sharp, and continue to heal her. Thank you, God. We ask you to bless the food. We ask you to bless the hands that prepared it, and help us all to get back to our homes safely like we left this morning. And this, all of your children say, amen.